Welcome back, everyone. This week we have so much to work on.
We have electrical and framing out the studs,
Building the shower, wiring,
putting up walls,
framing out the windowsills.
putting in insulation.
We got a ton to do this week and everything kind of depends on itself. So I think we're just gonna kind of jump in and pick a small project and just try to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna get ourselves into this week, but we just kind of want to jump in head first and we'll see what happens.
Good morning, it's a brand new day. Yesterday I think Natalie and I were getting a little down. We're just kind of getting overwhelmed by everything we had to do. So we tried to tackle a small project of framing out the walls. We made some progress, but we need to finish adding the framings at the bottom of that horizontal support beam. So we'll go do that. And then after that, I think we have 2 more projects we want to split off and try to tackle and just try to get some progress done this week. So Natalie and I just finished putting in the rest of the supports. We kind of left the back wall completely empty of supports because we weren't sure how we're gonna frame out those windows since that wall is kind of at an angle. So we'll leave those for another day. So I think what we're gonna do is split off and work on 2 separate projects.
I'm gonna start working on insulation. So I'm gonna kind of keep the show going in here.
And while she's doing that, I'm gonna take some measurements and swing by Lowe's and pick up some supports and start installing the rooftop deck.
It'll be fun to have 2 things going at once for a little bit.
Yeah, it was always fun to work on your own project for a few hours and you come back in and you see another project is always like already like halfway done or 3/4 done.
Yeah.
It's really motivating. So I think that's what we're gonna try today. And hopefully that just kind of keeps the ball rolling. I thought I'd lay out how exactly I'm planning on building the rooftop deck. If this is the bus, and so here's the back and the front here. We've already got a fan in the middle, and then we've got some solar panels in this configuration here, where they're a little askew. And then there's the other fan. So my plan is to use 6 supports on either side, and then connect them for a walkway in the middle. So I'm planning on just using 2 4x4s here for support, 2 here, and then 2 in the back, and then repeat the process on the other side. And then I'll run 2x4 supports along the length here. That should give us plenty of spots to fasten down the deck boards this way, and then down here they'll go the full length, so we have a little walkway between the 2 larger rectangular decks, and again, smaller supports up here. Yeah, that's kind of the plan I'm thinking about. You can hear Natalie in the background hammering the insulation in, but I have the measurements already ran up on the roof, so I feel pretty good about it. I think now I just need to stop stalling and run to Lowe's.
While Jimmy has been working on the deck, I have been working on filling in the insulation for the walls. We got 2-inch thick boards, and there's a gap behind like the structural metal support that runs all the way across the bus. And that gap is just under 2 inches. And so with the mallet, I was able to get a piece of foam board firmly jammed in between the wall and the structural support for one of these panels, and there's no way it's coming back up. So Jimmy is gonna pick me up some fiberglass insulation that I'm gonna use for the tricky part that doesn't quite fit the 2-inch foam boards. And I'm just gonna keep cutting into the 2-inch foam board for the visible part so that that's ready to put in on top of the fiberglass insulation that should fill in the gap. So hopefully that'll work. Pre-lunch, Natalie hid the tape measure and I can't find it. So I might have to get a little bit creative with how I measure out some of these foam board pieces. think I am physically incapable of using an X-Acto knife without somehow drawing blood. This is the second time I've used an X-Acto knife for a project, and it is the second time I've cut myself while doing so. I gotta get better at this. The bus looks like a war zone and I managed to injure myself, but the insulation's in. It looks pretty good, but I'm still gonna have to pull it out to fit the fiberglass insulation that Jimmy's buying at Lowe's right now underneath it, and then I'll have to put it back in, and I'll probably fill in the gaps with some canned spray foam that we have.
I've never done so much sanding in my life. My hand is like numb now. My goal is to start staining soon. I went to go put the first coat of stain on. Before I started, I put it on a test piece, and I talked it over with Natalie, and I just don't think it really fits for what we're going with. So I think I'm gonna run to the store and try to get a new stain. We were trying to get one that would match the front doors, but it was kind of hard to find an exterior version of the dark walnut. So I might try to go back, look again, and maybe ask around and try to just get a darker stain. This one kind of turned out a little bit more red than we were hoping for.
So I'm done insulating the walls for the most part. I put in the fiberglass insulation in the gaps that I couldn't reach with the foam board, and then the foam board is back on top of that. I left one wall open just because that's where we're gonna run the majority of our electrical lines, and we wanna make sure that we have enough room for everything we need there. The next thing I need to do is clean up because I made a mess. Next thing on my list is to plug in the gaps around the insulation with spray foam insulation. This is my first time using this. I've heard that it's not good for accident prone people, so I'm a little nervous about it. Apparently if it gets on your skin, like, it won't come off. Like, you'll have to it's not ideal. Really gonna be careful. I'm gonna wear plastic disposable gloves, gonna wear eye protection. I read the entire can before I'm starting, so wish me luck. I'm pretty sure this is not supposed to happen. The gloves were a very good call. I'm so glad I'm wearing these. Let me see if I can salvage this. So that was pretty short-lived, but it's not guaranteed that you can reuse this after you've resealed it once. So it's possible sometimes, but it does say on the bottle that it doesn't always work. I guess this is maybe one of those times where it doesn't work. The problem I was having is it was spraying out of the bottle and out of the nozzle, and so I just had 2 points where spray foam was going everywhere. The glove saved my hands, but I don't really think I can keep going because I don't think I can do a very good job with this because it's very hard for me to control where it's going, and I really don't want to make a mess of spray foam.
Don't mind me, I'm just clearing off my deck.
I'm gonna get started today with screwing in some furring strips into the wood frames that we put up yesterday.
The wood has had time to dry. We really like the color, but it's not as rich as we had hoped, so I'm going to put on a second coat and see what it looks like.
So now I have the first furring strip in underneath the window. I think it turned out pretty well, and so now that I have kind of a test piece done and I'm happy with it, I'm hoping I can get the others knocked out pretty quickly, so I'm gonna work on that now. So I have all these boards cut to size, and now I'm gonna go make sure that they fit. To kind of keep track of what boards I was cutting and what measurements I had, I kind of have like a numbering system for each of these vertical strips. I use that to kind of keep track of which board I'm on and which window it goes to. I'm sure that's not a new concept, but I found it really helpful, and it kind of helps me stay organized as I'm going.
I'm making good progress on the deck. I finished staining this morning, and I started chopping up the big 4x4 that I had that I'll be using for the supports. So I've got the inner supports done. These will be smaller, and then I'll need to go up there and remeasure the angle that I need to cut for the second one, since those supports will be at the edge of the bus.
Alright, so now that I have the wooden frames on underneath the windows, I want to show Jimmy what I've done because he hasn't seen it with the insulation yet, so I think he'll be impressed. You want to come see?
Wow, this looks really good, Natalie.
Thank you.
We finally have color on our walls.
Yep.
Alright, so Natalie, you're done with your project.
Yes, I am.
So that means you can take over the deck and I'll go take a nap. How does that sound?
That does not sound right. It's not what that means. I should have waited like a couple hours to show you, so yeah. I could have just been in here like chilling out.
Man, well, on the bright side, I've gotten my first sunburn since 2019, so that's kind of cool.
I'm jealous. I want some sun.
Alright, it's day number 3 of the deck build, and I've got my little helper here with me.
I'm swooping in at the last minute so I can take some credit for how the deck turns out.
And yeah, it works for me too, so then if anything messes up, then now we have a scapegoat. I'm just making sure that we have enough screws and bolts. We ran out of bolts, so I got to split them up, and then I'm using self-tapping screws for the rest. but we're running out of self-tapping screws. Hey, good morning, guys. This is day, what, 4 on the deck?
At least.
Yeah, so today we're gonna be focused on adding the trim, and once we add the trim, we can add the deck boards in between. I'm having a lot of fun doing this though. It's really fun to work on such a big project and try to get it done within a week. I really think we can. I mean, we started this like on Monday, and it's Thursday now.
Yeah.
So we're making really good time on it, and like if we push hard enough, I think we can get it done today. But I think I've said that for the past 2 days. So.
So we just used the table saw to cut these pieces for the trim. The bigger pieces, you'll see them from when you stand on the ground and look up at the deck, because they'll go around the outside to kind of hide any imperfections and hopefully just make it look neat. And then from the top, we're gonna have these smaller trim pieces. So if you're standing on the deck and you look down at the edges of it, you can see these going around the sides. If any of the boards aren't completely even, they should be hidden by this. Honestly, it's just kind of to tie everything together and try to make it look really nice. I'm up here on the deck and I've screwed in the first 3 long planks, and Jimmy is working on cutting the 4th because it's gonna have to fit around the Max Air fans. I think it's gonna be really nice to have a deck where the weight is evenly supported across the ribs of the bus. We wanna make sure that we get it right so that we don't have to start over, because we did not stain an extra board. So if we mess up any of these boards, we're gonna have to start over with staining a whole new board, and we won't be able to finish today.
Alright, it's the end of the day. I think we're done working on the deck. There's a couple more edge pieces we need to stain, and we need to install the ladder that'll lead up from the back, but we'll probably do that on another day.
A sunnier day.
Yeah, it's starting to rain now, but it's looking pretty good. We're sitting on it right now.
It's so much more comfortable than just sitting on the bare roof, because the metal would kind of creak with the, the weight if you're not standing with your feet in exactly the right spots where it's structurally supported. So the deck feels really solid.
Yeah.
The trim I definitely wouldn't hang off of on the side, but I think it looks really nice.
Yeah, I'm really happy with all of it. This is definitely my favorite project right now.
Yeah, it turned out great. Jimmy did a really good job planning this out and measuring and designing how it would go. And
yeah,
I'm so happy with it. I love it.
Me too. I think each of the rectangles is just long enough where each of us can lay out and take a nap in our own rectangle.
It's perfect and roomy for 2 people, especially 2 people like right our size. So this feels very custom for us.
All right, well, I think we're going to wrap it up here before it starts storming. This was a really productive, really fun week for us. We hope you guys had fun watching as well. But we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.